Hello and warm wishes to all my fellow Americans, wherever you live, whoever you love, and whatever you believe. My name is John Russo, and this is Stranded in Centerfield. This coming Tuesday, many of us will be watching the first presidential debate between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Last week, I discussed the lessons of history which point toward an outcome in which Biden is seen as the winner. This week, I want to talk about the tactical difficulties Biden faces in debating our most non-traditional and rhetorically unorthodox president. For the past few years, people on both sides of the political divide have used an acronym for the strong feelings, both positive and negative, that Americans have for President Trump. And that acronym is TDS, which is short for Trump Derangement Syndrome. Now, those who support the president accuse his critics of losing their minds, exaggerating the president's faults, and jumping to conclusions about the president's motives without sufficient evidence. And in turn, many of the president's critics have appropriated the term Trump Derangement Syndrome to describe what they consider the almost cult-like way in which the president's strong supporters back up whatever he says, even when what he says is demonstrably false. Now, I'm not going to get into which side is right and which is wrong. We're discussing strategy and debate tactics here today, not the relative merits of either side's contention about the other. But I think we can all agree that the people who suffer from either kind of Trump derangement syndrome are most definitely not up for grabs in this election. In fact, the data shows that more than in any prior election for which we have such polling data, the American electorate is now largely static. Overwhelmingly, Americans have made up their minds about whether they feel Donald Trump is the savior of the nation or an avatar of incompetence, self-dealing, and an inevitable slide to dictatorship. Now, here's what you need to know about the Trump derangement syndrome problem. Those members of the Never Trump progressive and mainstream media groups who keep expecting lukewarm 2016 Trump voters and other undecideds to abandon the president based upon policy and real issues, they're pursuing a mirage. I'm no fan of the president, but by now it should be clear to everybody that if his nonstop attack on the institutions of the American Republic that prevent tyranny, his attack on the judiciary, his attack on congressional oversight, his attack on the military, his attack on the free press, and now his attacks on science and even the post office, if all of that hasn't already convinced someone that this president has to go, then there is no point of policy that will win them over. It's not Trump derangement that can deny the president another term. It's Trump exhaustion. So let's assume that Biden's best play is to promote Trump exhaustion, to play on that. How should he approach the upcoming debate? Now, President Trump's defenders are fond of saying that he never lets any negative comments about him go unanswered. He always hits back, usually on Twitter. And so for the past 3.5 years, the entire world has witnessed the sitting president of the United States trading insults in public with, among hundreds of other people, LeVar Ball, Joy Behar, Robert De Niro, Samuel Jackson, Snoop Doggy Dogg, John McCain, George Will, Bill Maher, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, and the entire cast of Hamilton. Now, of course, it's one thing to not like being criticized and to vent about it to your close associates and then hit back on Twitter. But it's quite another to deal with criticism in live time. How fast is Donald Trump on his feet? Well, not too fast, I think. Let's face it. No, you're the puppet is not one of the most imaginative retorts in U.S. debate history. It kind of comes out of the I know you are, but what am I genre of schoolyard taunts. Not exactly Oscar Wilde material. President Trump is easily triggered and he's not verbally quick. It would be tempting for Vice President Biden's advisors to supply him with some choice words, try to get under the president's skin, hope he blows his top on live television. Maybe those same advisors are thinking that whenever Trump says anything about the military, Biden should refer to him as private bone spurs or some other insult. That would be a huge mistake. Remember, back in 2016's Republican presidential primaries, Marco Rubio tried to go toe-to-toe at slinging insults with Donald Trump. You remember? When Trump called Rubio Little Marco, Rubio called him Big Don. And that didn't work out too well for Rubio. It's like a quote that has been widely attributed to George Bernard Shaw. Never wrestle with pigs. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it. The only way Joe Biden loses this debate is if he does it on Trump's terms, which are insult, immaturity, and incivility. Remember what I said earlier? Biden gains votes by appealing to Trump exhaustion, because people who are entertained or somehow feel personally defended by President Trump's constant berating of so many Americans, they're not going to abandon President Trump and switch to Biden just because Biden starts trading insults. If the fight's one jerk versus another, Biden doesn't win. Biden should act with the dignity that most of us expect from the leader of the free world. He should from time to time do what Shakespeare's characters often do, and that's break down the fourth wall. Whenever President Trump behaves in ways that nearly every American mom tells her kids to never behave, bragging on himself, belittling and insulting people, whenever the president in the debate says something crass or untrue, which, let's face it, given his history, is a virtual sure thing, Vice President Biden should look directly into the camera, like Shakespeare characters, break the fourth wall, and calmly, almost sadly ask the American people, what has happened to us that we have chosen someone so obviously of poor character to be the leader of this great nation? Is this who we have become? And on Election Day, all of us are going to discover whether the American people have decided that it's time to change the channel on the Trump show because it jumped the shark a long time ago. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please leave your civil comments and suggestions below. This is John Russo saying, I'm not stranded. Neither are you. There are millions of us Americans standing together here in Centerfield. Until next time.